Okay. Hi, this is a book signing, and I'm not going to yell all the way through, but this is kind of exciting for us. I'm so glad that you are here. Russ?
I'm glad you're here too.
That was so natural.
I haven't been up that long.
He really hasn't. So we're going to sign books. All right, we've never done this before, but you can't see them. But behind the camera are people who have done this before. So there may be a lot of times when you see us do this, like that. And that means they're telling us what we're supposed to do. Basically, here's the premise. These are books. Today is publication day, and we are kind of embarrassingly thrilled about this. If you saw the documentary, this will, we didn't have another story. It's pretty much the same story. If you saw the documentary, there will be things in here that you'll ring familiar that you saw in the documentary, but we added a whole lot of things that aren't in there, and there's a lot of embarrassing photos as well. I dug up some really good ones of you. And this is where you can get it. You can get it at Premier Collectibles, Premier with an E, collectibles.com/TAFF. You will get a signed book, maybe one of the ones you see us signing right now. And there's a bunch of other stuff going on there you can put in. You can give us questions, there's all kinds of stuff. Meanwhile, we're going to try to keep this somewhat interesting. Now, I want you to talk.
This has been a lifelong dream for Tori. She has always been a writer ever since I knew her, and she's written for magazines. But this has been a dream, and we were blindsided by the documentary. We weren't out looking for it, but some people knew our story that had a company, and they came and they said, would you do a documentary and be honest? And before that, I really felt like, and I'm going to get real spiritual here, but I really felt like it was almost like a mandate from God to tell my story and to break silence. I think so many of us, we have things that we deal with, but the church is pretty critical of us, and so we sit quietly and hide, afraid to let our real story be told. But we can't get better until we begin to talk about what's really going on with us. But there's like this double-edged sword. You think if I break my silence and really talk about what's going on, and will they throw me out, or will they not like me anymore? Because we all want to be liked and accepted in the community of the church. But we sit in silence year after year, battling this thing, whatever it is. Lord, it could be anything. It could be food, alcohol, drugs, codependency, and addicted to people. You got to have that constant affirmation from folks to feel good about yourself, whatever it is. I don't know. Is it okay if I keep going like this? Is this okay? Okay.
Station break. This pen is not working because that could really slow down
And
signing books. Go ahead. Keep going.
I really felt like I should tell the story about the destruction that happened to me and the growing up in an alcoholic home whose dad was an alcoholic but is also a Pentecostal preacher. And you grow up with this sense of, the first face of God is your dad. And Daddy would preach, and he preached a hard gospel that no one could actually live up to, especially him. And then 6-7 months later, he would relapse and go somewhere, check in a hotel, or go out in the orchards in San Joaquin Valley and drink until we found him and brought him home. But there was always this double message. And with Dad, he was the ultimate narcissist until I got older. Then I became the ultimate narcissist. But
took over the mantle.
But he became jealous of me at a very early age. He had to be the center of attention, and Mom and Dad both worked. They both had to work, and we lived in the real poor side of town. And but I would go to birthday parties with my friends and cousins. But Mama, every time our birthdays came around, me and my 4 brothers, they were too busy, or they had to work, and there wasn't time to throw us a birthday party. And so right from the get-go, you feel like I'm not worth it. And then you constantly get those messages of, honestly, the 3 things that rang in our ears just about every day that was said to us: you're not worth the bullet to shoot you with, you're not worth the salt that goes on your bread, and you'll never amount to anything. And it is said to us daily. And after a while, you begin to believe it. So with that, being the anchor around my neck that kept holding me down, is no matter how good I got with my singing, there was this thing of like, you're not good enough, you'll not be good enough, and you're a fraud, you're a phony. And when I left home at 17, I couldn't stay in that system anymore. My body began to just betray me. I began to get sores on my back, and my hands would swell. And the doctor told me, he said, "Son, I don't know what's going on in your life, but you better change what's happening, because your body is shutting down on you." And Mom, okay, break. I'll pick it up right there. I need a Sharpie also.
All right, I think, is this the one? Let's try this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take off.
Well,
and I want to mention Mark's.
Oh gosh, Mark Smeeby, the Smeebs. This is co-written with Mark, and when we say co-writing, we mean co-writing. He's not a ghostwriter. He's a brilliant writer, and this is a true collaboration. And Mark was a gift to us for this process, and I can't say enough about him. He has several other books. He is an amazing artist, singer, writer, and marksmeeby.com will get you to some of his music, and I can't say enough good about him. We are thankful for Mark Smeeby, mostly because I really like saying his name a lot. Boy, we launched right in, and
Well, let's say how you and Mark connected. We didn't know who he was.
No, we didn't. Okay, just get used to this, because because this is attached to a pen, and that's what I'm going to be signing with. We're launching right in, you guys. As you can tell, this is someone who hasn't told his story for about 40 years. And there were other opportunities, but the timing wasn't right. And as he said, when he started feeling like this was the time, the documentary filmmaker showed up. So we just came back from
the
our
book company connected you guys.
It did, and we just came back from our first movie signing date in Texas this weekend. So we're a little filled up right now with gratitude that that this story matters to people. Who knows? Everybody has a story. We're not any more special than anybody else. It's just as my friend said, they handed us the microphone. So as long as we have the microphone, and this is a microphone to tell your story, we're going to tell it. And Smeeby and I were connected by the publisher, Post Hill Press, Michael. Never met. If any of you are songwriters or writers of any kind, you know that co-writing is actually really, really intimate. So to be put with some, there was a guiding hand there. And we're real proud of this. It's weird to relive some of the hardest times in your life, but it's really, it also brings up all of the best times in your life. So the memories are not all dark. The book is definitely not dark. It was an opportunity to sort of put some bookends, if you will, and framework to our story. And every time I say our story, that sounds so pretentious to me. Here, you can sign these because I already signed half of them. And
All
you
right.
put yours there. But because, again, everybody does have a story, you're going to love this segue. Speaking of everyone having a story, we've got some questions from some of you. Okay. Russ, jump in on this one.
All right.
What gives you your inspiration for this book?
What gave me the inspiration was what Jesus did inside of me when you're carrying shame, and shame had followed me most of my life. But God began to bring people into my life to break chains and take me to the next level, But I felt like we needed to write this to let people see the relentless love of God that never gives up on us, never thinks we're not worth it, but He continually works, He continually calls, and He continually helps. And this is a book about my struggle into my adult life when I joined the Imperials and never been on the road before. And you can't go to college to learn how to do this. You just are kind of thrown right into it. And after a while, trying to perform with those shame and guilt, it paralyzed me. But it was from stage to stage to stage that this book was full of helps and what I did and how I stopped and how God, I look back over my life and everywhere I was, even in the darkest places, He was there. I didn't realize that. I was running because I hated myself because I had turned into my dad. And I was doing to Tori what my dad did to me. And that broke me. I mean, it just broke my heart. So it took me years to get to a place where I was free, just free from it all. And I made peace with my parents. I began to move out of that place of shame and carrying that shame. It's like I was 13, and they voted my dad out of the church. And I couldn't play sports. I was just short and slow. Not a lot of demands for my talent in the sports department. But at 12, and I began to, Mom taught me how to play guitar, and I began to learn a song every week, and it was a small church of about 25 people. And my deal was I would go down on Saturday night. We had church Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday night, Sunday morning, and Sunday night. And so on the weekend somewhere, I would get to do a song. And that was my sports. That was everything to me, that I could do this. And I felt His presence when I did. But how shame... Well, I went down to the church. It was Sunday night, and I had my little guitar and my acoustic in my little cardboard guitar case. And my uncle, who had took over for my dad as the interim pastor, stopped me at the door, and I was about to go in, and he said, "Russ, you're not welcome here." And I said, "Uncle, I didn't do anything wrong." And he said, "Well, you're his son, and we don't want you guys here." And I just remember a knife going through my heart, that how Christians attack when you're at the most vulnerable place of your life. And God is down there working as feverishly and hard as He can to get us back on track, and the people around us attack us.
Which is one of the reasons you don't tell your story. which is one of the reasons you don't go public. And I don't mean public like we're doing. You don't have to write a book. I mean, it's why you don't trust people. By the way, just so you guys remember, this book is available, these signed copies. It's premiercollectibles.com/Taff. That's what all this is for. If you can't make it to one of the book signings, we're trying to be able to have a signed copy available to you. Premier, I'm going to spell it because if Russ was typing this in, he would say spell it. Premiere, all lowercase, collectibles, collectibles, premiercollectibles.com, and then put the slash, and then put Taff, and it's 2 F's. We go through our entire life saying it's not a T at the end. So it's premiercollectibles.com/Taff. And I want to follow up on what you were saying.
Just looking at this, I think my name should be on top.
You always see, and just looking at this, you know what I think? I have serial killer handwriting. Does this bother anybody out there? Is there anybody out there who's looking at this and getting a little nervous at what lies beneath? Okay.
No.
All right, so you know what I'm doing now? I'm going to sign way down here. And then I'll put an arrow pointing
I'm
to you.
kidding.
Anyway, what we did in the book and what we're encouraging, this isn't a self-help. It isn't a how-to. It's telling what happened to us and how we found a way through. It touches on physical abuse. There was a lot of physical abuse in Russ's
Could
childhood.
somebody get these?
It touches on alcoholism and addiction, obviously, the way it affects the addict, the way it affects the people who love an addict. It also talks about a very unexpected music career in which a guy from Hot Springs, Arkansas, ends up winning 6 Grammys and traveling all over the world. And it has marital issues because, believe it or not, sometimes we had marital issues. Go figure.
Your fault.
No, it wasn't. It was all you. So there was we can tell you what helped us. We can tell you how we found a way out. And we can offer some hope. We can offer some assurance that you're not alone in this. You're never alone in this. And we want you to, I've never felt this strongly about something I've done before. Russ has made 1 million records. I've written 1 million things. This is different. This is a part we weren't planning on sharing with anybody. And again, I don't want to build it up too much. It's not like you're going to find out that Russ used to be a woman or something. But what we found out in the writing of it is that there's some universal aspects to what happened to us. You always feel like, in 12-step programs, sometimes they talk about feeling like you're terminally unique. Mm-hmm. And one of the joys of coming out of hiding is that you find out there's a whole bunch of people out there who struggle with the same things. And our hope is that by telling our story, that it's going to maybe coax some more people to come out of the shadows and to say, I need help. And that's the point. So if we're a little over the top excited about this, it's because in our own in our own way, we truly believe that there's news in this book that's good news, and that there is there's things that you're going to be able to relate to. I don't know anybody, frankly, and maybe it's who I hang around with. I don't know anybody whose life has not been touched by addiction of some sort. It just is that kind of omnipresent. And this can make you feel less alone, and it can maybe show you some things that we did that helped us find our way out. Premier Collectibles. You know what? There's like a little bit of a Shopping Network feel about this, which is why they would never let me on Shopping Network. But I do want you to know where to get this, and I do want you to get a signed copy, even though I write like a serial killer. So remember that it is at premiercollectibles.com/Taff. That's where you get it. And you want me to do another question?
I just wanted to say it's coming out quickly. They gave us some pre-copies to take with us last weekend to Texas, and we took a bunch, and before the concert even started, they had sold out of books.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just such, it is. I mean, they did the documentary October 30th in 26 theaters. But the story is getting out, but it's not about me, but it's a story about the power of Jesus. And the steps that he took me through to get a handle on my life and stop hurting myself. And one of the main things that was so hard for me was to forgive myself and to allow Jesus to love me and love on me, because I felt unworthy, I felt worthless. And it's like I built an image of what everybody wanted to see with a gospel artist. And I'm telling you, I love Jesus, and I always have. But I built this image that everybody would like. And everyone did. I mean, you know, my peers, concerts, people, they loved this image that I held up. But behind that image was a guy that was scared and terrified and was being beat on every day. But it's how he brought me from place to place to place, because I didn't even know where to start. But it's just a powerful story of God's redemption and his ability to take us where we are and bring us to a place that we actually like ourselves. And I think I'm a pretty cool guy now once he finished. Well, almost finished. I still got a ways to go.
Oh, wait, he's finished?
I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I was.
Well,
but I'm
that.
growing every day. But if you want something, it's just to say, yes, he still does miracles. Yes, he can free you. Yes, he can open prison doors. Yes, he'll walk in and get you and walk you out. You just have to be willing. Just have to be willing and sincerely ask for help. But anyway,
I got some questions.
they sold out so fast.
I know
It
that
amazed me.
That was kind of stupid.
Should have brought a truckload.
We
but
didn't
anyway.
know. We'd never done this before. So, yeah. We're not good at this. I want to give you a question.
All right.
All right. Out of all the songs you've recorded, do you have a favorite?
Well, all the songs they're kind of like your kid. You know, you labor over it and you spend time in the studio making it the way you want it to be presented. But I can tell you the most requested after all of these years is Praise the Lord, that I recorded with the Imperials. That's still probably the biggest song, and followed by We Will Stand. That, of course, is You're My Brother, You're My Sister, so Take Me by the Hand. Gaither uses that song on stage, and we have done it when we're out of the country, just bringing the body of Christ together. But probably my favorite, because I still use it.
And then there's...
I still do it. Yes. You know, it was amazing about that song because it was in another place in my life that I had to be honest. And it was back during a time when you know, PTL and everyone was singing, we're blessed, we're blessed, we're blessed. We are blessed. We don't deserve it, but yes, we are blessed.
I forgot that.
But my life had exploded.
It didn't feel very blessed.
And I was standing just at the abyss saying, where do I go? And I heard this song.
I still believe.
By Michael Bean, who wrote it. And they played it to me in Newport Beach. I still remember this, in 1987. And I began to cry. Because if I could write a song right now, this is what I would write. Through the pain, through the grief, through the heartache, through the lies, through the storms, through the cries, and through the wars, I still believe. And that still is one of the most requested songs I get.
Yeah. Good. Good answer. All right, I'm still
Thank you,
signing.
Tammy.
PremierCollectibles.com/Taff. You know what? It may not be the shopping network I'm feeling like. It may be
It's
Bill
not.
Gaither. It's Bill Gaither.
It is Bill.
Except what did he say? What does he say for $29.95? That's not the
I
price
mean,
of the book, but that's what he always says.
You know, we laugh because, you know, every week on television he'll hold up the newest project and he said, you can get it for $29.95. And
Not this one, but you know.
Mark Lowry says, Bill may miss the second coming of Jesus trying to videotape it and sell it for $29.95. That's not true.
No. Well,
But you know Mark.
all right. So, I'll take this one.
Okay.
Someone wants to know, what is your favorite spot in Bell Buckle? We are coming to you live from Bell Buckle, Tennessee, town of about, they lie about it, so I can't really tell. Sometimes they say 450, sometimes they say 500. We did our part and moved 4 people in, so we upped the population by 4 people. This is the weirdest, artsiest, cool little historical town I have ever seen, and we've traveled all over the world. We've seen some small towns. We grew up in Arkansas. You can't swing a cat without hitting a quaint small town. But Bell Buckle is special. I've come here on day trips and dragged everybody I know here for over 30 years. When we moved here 5 years ago, one of the draws was that it's full of artists. There are, in fact, we've got a award-winning bluegrass singer, Valerie Smith, right up the stairs. We've got the Poet Laureate of Tennessee, Maggie, lives here. We've got
Poet Laureate, they are chosen to write a speech for an inauguration for the governor or for the senator, and she's been doing that for, Lord, 50 years.
Yeah, and she's remarkable. We have writers, we have singers, we have bronze sculptors, we have world-renowned mosaic artists, we have jewelry makers, it's just the coolest, weirdest little
And
place.
people drive from all over the Tennessee to come to this restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Bell Buckle
it's
Cafe.
amazing.
So with this curtain behind us, this is the Bell Buckle Banquet Hall. And this is where I work in a real grown-up job-ish. And this is one of my favorite spots. We're right by a railroad track, because this is an old railroad town. And I'm really expecting at any minute there's going to be a loud train whistle that goes by. So when that happens, just act like it's local color. But we do a weekend here in October.
First weekend of October.
We bring a bunch of friends in here, and musicians and artists, and we have like a weekend concert, lots of eating event. We want to show this town off to as many people as we can, but then we want y'all to go home because we want to keep it in that 400 to 500 range, and we saw what happened in Nashville. But one of my favorite spots in Bell Buckle is we have it's sort of a loop, and Russ and I, when we first moved here, we used to say, let's go get our feet on our town, and we'd go out our front porch, and we'd walk a loop that goes all the way around town, ends up right past all the storefronts with the Bell Buckle Cafe and the other storefronts, and then we'd loop it back to our house. So that's not really a place, but it's that loop where you walk past what are now houses of friends and people we know, down across all of our businesses, and back up to our house. And that's my favorite part. What is your favorite part of Bell Buckle?
Me.
No, coffee shop is the
that
Bell
is.
Buckle coffee shop. The man drinks his coffee.
Eat your lunch every day, or maybe you suffer in silence, afraid for someone to find out what happened to you or what's going on, or you're intimidated by Christians because you can't be that perfect thing they preach about. This book is for you. It talks about God's grace, His powerful grace, to get inside our lives and do exactly what He said He would do, change us. My favorite scripture, and it has been for years and years, it says, it's 2 Corinthians 5:17. If any man be in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things pass away, and all things become new. And if you feel helpless in the place that you're at, there's hope. I mean, there really is hope. And this book shows how what brought me down as low as I was, and the trauma of my childhood, and which caused me to act out in my later years. But God's grace and His power and His mercy gets involved with us and changes us. Ask another question.
Okay. Okay. Was it difficult to write about the hardships in your life? Short answer was yes, but as I mentioned before, when you revisit the hard things, you also remember the good things. And there were some memories that I had completely forgotten about, and trips that we made and people that we met. And so part of the good part of bringing the hard things up to light is that it brought some forgotten good things up to light too. How hard was it for you?
It was incredibly hard because I have been coming out of that household and the trauma of that childhood. I was afraid to talk about my stuff because one of the worst whippings I ever got in my life was when I told my little friend that Mom and Dad had an argument and they were supposed to be perfect. And Mama beat the crap out of me to the point I had bruises and had to wear long sleeve shirts to school, balled up in a corner with her kicking and screaming, "You don't tell anybody what goes on in this family." But there is something called covert incest, and it's not physical touching, but you take a child as a spouse, which means you talk to somebody, talk to one of your, like a spouse.
Depend on them like a
and depend on them to talk like a spouse, to hash through things and go through things. And it started with me when I was 11. Because she couldn't talk outside the family either. She wasn't allowed to talk outside the family. And I remember the first night she came into my bedroom and I had to sit up. She wanted me to sit up and put my feet on the floor. And then she began to dump her fear and her anxiety and her anger, dumped all that on me. And then she felt better and she would go to bed. And here I am, 12 years old. There's no tools, there's no nothing. A lot of times you're awake all night because of this fear. She would say, "You're not going to have lunch money next week because he's lost his job again. And I don't know what we're going to do." And you're having to carry that, and you can't go tell anybody. But it started one of the best things that ever happened to me when I was 13. When they threw me out, wouldn't let me come back to the church anymore, Mama had a key to the church. And I would go down there, and his commitment to carry me through all this. Go ahead.
I'm caught up in the story, and I was there. I wasn't there for that part, but
I was 13.
I was.
You weren't there.
I know, but I was.
You wanted to be, though. I'm sure.
I would have.
Yeah.
No, actually, my point was that the residual effects of that childhood played on into our marriage and his addiction, and so part of the healing was not just for his trauma of his childhood. It was also for how that affected the people around him. You know what I want to do? I want to lighten it up because, dang, you're about to make me start crying, and they didn't bring a hair and makeup person.
They asked me why I wrote the book, and this is why.
That's right. You ask him, you're going to find out. You're exactly right. But there is this weird thing, and I don't know if they're going to time us or not, but this is going to be hard for us because we don't answer questions quickly, you may have noticed. This is 22 questions in 2 minutes, boom.
Holy, let me ask you.
All right. No, I mean, I'm not as interesting. Well, ask
Yes,
me,
you are.
and then I'll just make up stuff about you.
All right.
All right.
Let me get my glasses.
Ready? We're not going to time it, though, for real.
Where were you born?
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Who would you want to play you in a movie? Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, I know. I get that a lot. Okay.
What was your first job?
Walmart. I was at the front desk. They moved me to the front desk because they had me on the register for about 5 minutes, and I charged somebody $125 for 2 greeting cards. Go
Who
ahead.
makes you laugh the most?
Probably you.
I will say that's what attracted me to you back when we were both
'Cause I thought you
in
were
the
funny?
teens. Well, and I thought you were funny.
Well, see, there you
and
are. There's a lot of this.
and we've carried that all through our marriage and our life. Just that sense of humor that can lighten things up when it needs to be
You
lightened up.
guys, there were times that I would have killed him in his sleep if he didn't make me laugh hard at least once a day. What are you going to do? Go ahead.
What's your biggest fear?
Whew. Financial instability. No, you know what? My biggest fear is losing someone, losing a child is my biggest fear.
Okay, let's see.
Wowza.
Now,
You're going to have to lift it back up.
here, now you pick up 7 and
Oh,
I'll
good.
answer some, and then you'll give it back to me.
Okay. What is your greatest accomplishment?
I've won so many awards, but I think my greatest accomplishment is my 2 daughters, and being able to be with them, to grow up, and to know that they serve a God that's crazy about them, and not this Pentecostal judgmental God. And I have. I mean, the White House, I say, and part of the royal family in England, and there's just been touring, and
That's fun stuff.
but the thing that I love the most and what I am most proud of is the legacy of my kids, and their hearts, and their tenderness, and their love for us and for Jesus. And it's not complicated. See, I serve this Pentecostal God. Let me just make this point very much. And I was dangling over hell by a thread, and at any moment, if I wasn't perfect, he could let me go. And so I lived in this utter fear of him. And when I didn't measure up, I would beg him to save me from falling into hell. So anyway, they grew up with grace. They grew up with love from him that is unfettered, and he will go to the lowest points of hell to rescue us.
I am not giving you another question. All right. Ooh, this is a good one. Who is the most interesting person you have met recently?
Recently?
Yeah. Well, that's what it is.
Recently.
Recently. Although we're making up the rules, so this could be anyway. But you meet people on the road every week. You meet.
Well, I'm trying to think of
They hadn't been that
somebody
interesting
that
recently?
that somebody. Well, I loved the conversation I had with Ravi Zacharias. And his take on the Bible, on the gospel.
All right. We're not going to spell.
One of the most interesting, and I
ahead.
will say this, that has taught me life lessons for the last 30 years is Bill Gaither. Taught me a lot of life lessons.
And he is interesting. He is. He's a lot weirder than y'all know. Leave it at that.
He loves to laugh, and he's one of the funniest guys I've ever been
He
around.
is so much fun. What's your middle name?
I was named after my grandfather, his name was Jasper D.E.E. Johnson. And so I wound up with Russell D.E.E. Thank God it wasn't Jasper. Taff.
Russell Jasper would have been so cool.
Or Jasper Taff.
Jasper Taff. Jazzy. Okay, whoops. Avalanche. Okay, what color is your toothbrush? We're not doing 2 minutes. Have you noticed that? This isn't happening in 2 minutes, folks.
I like the, what is it, Sonic? The little vibrating one.
Okay, we'll go with that.
And it's white.
All right, thank you. Hey, what's the last book you've read?
The last book
From
I've read-
premiercollectibles.com/Taff.
I'm going to ask you that.
All right.
You're the reader in the family.
Oh gosh, what is the last? Okay, I like memoirs, and I like nonfiction, and let's see. I'm trying to think. The last book. I'm picturing my nightstand right now. I'm trying to figure out what's sitting on my nightstand. I think it was a book about ballet. I have a sister-in-law that used to dance with American Ballet Theater, and it was written by a woman named Gelsey Kirkland, who was with American Ballet Theater in the 80s and 90s, and it's her autobiography.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more interesting than that description of it was.
Okay, let's both answer these.
All right.
What's your favorite hobby?
Oh, wait, hobbies.
You love to decorate. I mean,
I do.
You love to decorate.
Yeah. We're sitting in a hall that I was able to help put the design elements in, and that is very satisfying. I do love that. What do you like?
My favorite hobby is that I love. I mean, I have a lot of things, but I think the one I love the most is being able to fly someplace and talk about my miracle. I love to do that.
I don't think that's a hobby. I think
Well,
that's a profession.
Okay,
But-
hobby, profession.
There we go.
I do it all the time.
There you go.
Okay, I did say, so my guilty pleasure that I allow myself to have periodically is Twizzlers.
You do.
I love Twizzlers.
He does. He does. And I'm not trying to be crude, but there's some digestive issues that happen with Twizzlers.
No, that's when I had the sugar-free one. That's the one that did that.
Okay.
Let's see. What's your guilty pleasure? Do you have any hidden talents?
Like burping the ABCs or something?
I don't know.
I don't think I have any hidden anything. Or something. Yeah, okay. I don't know.
Let me answer it for you.
Would you?
I think one of your hidden talents is the way you can diffuse an intense situation that could burst into was 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. and
Oh,
then
gosh, I
somebody would
remember
take
it well.
over. But being the youngest, I got the bad shift until they hired drivers. But I stopped at a truck stop and I was so sleepy. I mean, I would drive and like pull hairs out of my arms just to keep me awake, and reach and pull hairs out of my chest, just anything to keep me awake. And so I got a big cup of coffee. And
Truck stop coffee.
I started drinking it just to keep me awake
That'll
at
work.
night.
That'll work. I think we're nearing the end of this. I know, shocking, isn't it? It just flew by. You guys,
This is an honest, real book. It doesn't wrap up gently at the end and everybody's, okay. It's an intense book that tells a real story, good and bad.
it's a funny book, and it's a warm book,
It is.
but we don't wrap
is.
it all up in a nice Christian bow.
Because when you tell the truth, it's all out there, and you can't take it back. But you also get to show where I was and where he brought me, and that is just an incredible thing for me, that he did that for me.
So, at Premier Collectibles, Premier with an E on the end of it, Collectibles with an S on the end of it, .com/Taff. I got to thank all of the people involved with putting this together. Post Hill Press, with the live signing people. We may have broken live signing people from ever wanting to do this again, but they have been amazing, and they set up this actually very cool thing for us to be able to, if you can't make it to a concert, you can see.
And I wanted to, while you're getting that together,
I am.
whatever you're looking for, that they interview Bill Gaither, they interview Mark Lowry, they interview Amy Grant for this, they interview Bart Millard from Mercy Me, and Michael Tate from Newsboys, and others in here, that what they see about us and what they have walked through. So it's a very interesting book with a lot of detail coming from different areas.
It's conversational. It kind of weaves in and out, not unlike the way we talk. So there's lots of interruptions. But there it is. It's not just all Russ and Tori all the time. It kind of encapsulates the period of early CCM music, and as that was developing, there's a whole lot of stuff in there. You guys, I couldn't throw myself into, put my name on, and sell something that I didn't feel this strongly about.
That's the truth.
And
That's the truth.
and I feel strongly about this, and I want you guys to have a chance to read it. So,
And if you have anyone that is walking in shame that you know of, or their son or their daughter is caught up in addiction and they don't know what to do, if there has been trauma in their lives and they're stuck, this book will help. I mean, it really, really will.
I agree. I'm glad we did it.
Anything else? For
No.
Christmas, I wear large, and I love silver.
You're so weird. Thank
I
you.
like leather also. Put that out there.
But that's another book. We want to thank you guys for being a part of this, and we want to thank everyone involved for being a part of this. Come to Bell Buckle, come out and see us on the road, and get a book. PremierCollectibles.com/Taff, and you'll get one of these. We did a pretty good job signing.
And to throw out a thank you to Post Hill for getting behind us and help us tell our story.